Nectar of Devotion, chapter 4. So you have to excuse us if it's going to be a little bit complicated. It doesn't need to be complicated. I mean, it's up to us. But we try and make it as simple as possible.
If you could explain along the way things that you might think is hard to understand for newcomers like myself.
Yeah, exactly. I'll do that. So first of all, this Nectar of Devotion, it is a book which is made by what we call a devotee. Devotee in our language, it means a Krishna devotee, or you can say a Krishna lover. You can say somebody who loves the form of God known as Krishna, as the absolute form of the Lord. And he made this book actually for the devotees, this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He made it because he wanted to help devotees dive into the nectar of bhava, or love of God. So in the beginning of the book, he's using a considerable amount of time to give references from the scriptures, especially from the Srimad Bhagavatam, about how Bhakti Yoga or devotion to Krishna is the best of all spiritual practices. So today we have talked about that it's removing all the troubles from your life. It gives you all the happiness and so on. And now today he's discussing how this Bhakti Yoga or devotional service to Krishna is better than liberation.
Raising your vibration so you match with the good things and not bad things.
What is that?
These teachings might help us to raise our vibration so that our resonance matches with good things and not bad things.
Yeah, certainly. So in that way, the transcendence is reached. It's one of the symptoms of transcendence. One can deal with the good things and the bad things, because the effects of matter are always that, good and bad. In terms of bhakti, then everything is coming. It kind of merges on a higher unity, and then again on the higher unity there are all kinds of individualities and differences, but on the spiritual platform. Yeah. So later on, Rupa Goswami will actually explain these spiritual differences. In the beginning, we may think that spiritual life is only the oneness, but there are just as many distinctions spiritually as there are distinctions materially. Yeah, because the material is, you can say, is the other side of life. Yeah, the temporary side of life, and then you have the eternal side of life. So anyway, so he says that this devotional service is surpassing liberation.
Isn't everything made of energy, so that even material energy just goes over into another form?
Actually, you can say it's true, as you say, law of entropy. You have everything material; it just changes form. Yeah. Earth is going. Say you make something with earth, water, and fire. You make a pot, and then after some time the pot is breaking down, and all the elements are going back to the original place. The water is going back to the water element. Earth element is going back to the earth element, and the wind is also going back to the wind. The space is going back to space. The fire is going back to the fire. Yeah. So that's how it is with all elements, including also our body. Yeah. So all these elements are called dravya, and they are they're coming from earth, water, fire, air, and ether. They can become different. You can say objects. So to be liberated from this, constantly having new bodies, new material situations, that's called liberation. Muktir hitvanya ta rupam svarupena vyavastiti. So one is situated in one's original body when one is liberated. That's the idea. The original body is spiritual, and it cannot be seen by the material eye even. How much a devotee is seriously attached to the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be understood from the statement of Maharaj Prithu. Now Prabhupada is going to give an example of what Maharaj Prithu is saying. So he say in the 4th canto 20th chapter verse 24, "My dear Lord, if after taking liberation I have no chance of hearing the glories of your Lordship, glories chanted by pure devotees from the core of their hearts in praise of your lotus feet, and if I have no chance for this honey of transcendental bliss, then I shall never ask for liberation or this so-called spiritual emancipation. I shall simply always pray unto your Lordship that you may give me millions of tongues and millions of ears, so that I can constantly chant and hear of your transcendental glories." Yeah. So similar statement is also found in Bhagavatam 5th canto 14th chapter verse 44.
That's like saying, I wish I had $1 million so I could give it all to God.
Yeah, this is the idea that in the ecstasy of being so full of love for God, one just wish to have 1,000,000 arms, even when we wish to have millions of bodies, so we can just run around helping everybody to be happy. It's this idea to want to expand one's love. Yeah. So in that way, it's going on. So Shukadeva Goswami also says something similar to Parikshit Maharaj. He says he's talking about Bharat. He was so much attached to the service of the lotus feet of Krishna that he very easily gave up his lordship over the earthly planet and his affection for his children, society, friends, royal opulence, and beautiful wife. He was so very lucky that the goddess of fortune was pleased to offer him all kinds of material concessions, but he never accepted any of these material opulences. Here's another side of it. In the ecstasy of love of God, it can be the other way, that the devotee doesn't wish to have nothing. So this example here is that he didn't want to have anything, not even his family, not his wife. He was a king, but he didn't want to be a king anymore. He just wanted to renounce everything and go alone out in the forest. So you have kind of two different kinds of devotees. One devotee just wants to give it all up and be indifferent to this material world in his love for God. Another one wants to use everything in the material world as much as possible, and even wants to expand everything. Have millions of ears, millions of tongues, so you can chant the glories as much as possible of the Lord to everybody. The two different ways to manifest, one's ecstasy.
Very interesting.
Yeah, in the Bhagavatam 6th canto we have another account, Vritrasura. He says, "My dear Lord, by leaving your transcendental service, I may be promoted to a planet called Dhruvalok, the pole star, or I may gain lordship over all the planetary systems of the universe. But I do not aspire for this, nor do I wish the mystic perfections of yoga practice, nor do I aspire for spiritual emancipation. All I wish for, my Lord, is your association and transcendental service eternally." Yeah. So again, here's another one. He doesn't want to go to higher planets, because in the books it's promised that if you do a spiritual life, if you do pious life, religious life, you're going to heaven or you're going to higher planets. But he says, I don't mind wherever I go. I just want to be your devotee. Yeah. So similarly, Lord Shiva, he's telling to his wife Sati. He says, "My dear Sati, persons who are devoted to Narayan Krishna are not afraid of anything. If they're elevated."
Isn't that sort of like saying I don't care about my own safety as long as my God is safe or something?
Yeah, you can say that also. Yeah.
I mean, if I was God, I would probably want people to have a certain amount of sense in their head, so they wouldn't just give away all their money and all of their security for. I mean, like a parent, you want your child to appreciate you maybe, but not make bad decisions,
Yeah, not want to destroy yourself in the process. Certainly. Actually, God, Krishna, he wants to take care of his devotees. He wants them to have enough to eat and he wants them to have all material comforts. But sometimes the devotees themselves, they don't want to have it. You remember we had the story some time ago in the Krishna book about this Sudama Vipra. He was like a poor brahmana, poor ascetic person. Yeah, you remember that story? And he visited Krishna, and then Krishna
visited him.
No, he visited Krishna, and then because the wife was very asking, please ask Krishna, to get some wealth, because Krishna was the king of Dwarka. But then he went, and he just bought some broken rice to Krishna, and Krishna just took that rice, and But then, Sudan Vipra, he stayed night over and he went back, and then he didn't bring anything with him. He forgot to ask Krishna for money. But when he came back, then in the meantime, the wife has gotten a palace. Overnight, she just waking up in a palace, and she also has nice clothes. She also looks like she had an update.
That's a good feeling story.
Yeah, it's a very good feeling story because he didn't involve, but he brought whatever he could offer, just some broken rice. And since he was offering, even though he was poor something to Krishna, then he got back millions of times, even not asking for it.
I must say, it doesn't always make sense. I mean, if you want to properly communicate with other people or deities, you usually just have to tell the truth for them to understand your opinion, your motives.
Yeah, we should be honest. Certainly.
But what I mean is if you beat around the bush with or just forget to tell people, then it's hard for them to understand, unless they're God, of course.
Well, that's why we only go to God. We just go to Krishna, who is God personified. So then we don't actually need to tell nothing. It's said that actually the devotee doesn't need to ask Krishna for anything because Krishna already knows, since he's the God in everybody's heart. Yeah, so that's why they may be called desireless. So Indra is also saying that here in the next prayer. He says, "My dear mother, persons who have given up all kinds of desire and are simply engaged in devotional service to the Lord know what is actually their self-interest. Such persons are actually serving their self-interests and are considered first-class experts in the matter of advancing to the perfectional stage of life." And then also another quote, now from Prahlad Maharaj. "My dear friends born into atheistic families, if you can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, then there is nothing more rare in this world. In other words, if the Supreme Lord Krishna is pleased with you, then any desire you may have within the core of your heart can be fulfilled without any doubt. As such, what is the use of elevating yourself by the results of fruitive activities, which are automatically achieved in all events by the modes of material nature? And what is the use for you of spiritual emancipation or liberation from material bondage? If you are always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord and always relishing the nectar of the lotus feet of the Lord, then there is no necessity for any of these." Yeah, so by this statement on Prahlad Maharaj, it is clearly understood that the one who takes pleasure in chanting and hearing the transcendental glories of the Lord has already surpassed all kinds of material benedictions, including the results of fruitive activities, sacrifices, or even liberation from material bondage.
This is very interesting. Does this lead to emancipation spiritually?
Yeah. Simply just glorifying Krishna.
What specific... when does it happen? When you chant Hare Krishna mantra?
Yeah, or you talk nicely about Krishna, talk about Krishna stories, glorify Krishna.
Personally, my approach would be to find something I'm grateful about God, about what He does.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is very great. That you can do always, and that is the same thing. That's chanting the glories of the Lord. In that way, you are liberated at that time.
Yes, I'm grateful for the sky and the sun and the flowers and the trees. I'm grateful for my family and my friends. I'm grateful for all that God has to offer.
Super. Yeah. So this is a devotional, utterances, which makes us liberated. So we have another one here. Let's see. Yeah. So we have from Gajendra. That was an elephant. So you see, I don't know if I told you that story before, but you had an elephant and he was bathing in the heavenly planets, and then a crocodile came and took charge of his foot, so he couldn't get free, and then he was trying to fight free, and then he couldn't, so he started praying to Vishnu to come and help him, and then he came, and then he was praying a lot of prayers, just glorifying him. So this is one of the prayers he says. So he says, "My dear Lord, I have no experience of the transcendental bliss derived from your devotional service, so therefore I have asked from you some favor. but I know that persons who are pure devotees and have, by serving the lotus feet of great souls, become freed from all material desires, are always merged in the ocean of transcendental bliss, and as such are always satisfied simply by glorifying your auspicious characteristics. For them there is nothing else to aspire to or pray for. Yeah, so...
but also just saying what you're grateful for in general will will communicate to the universe or to God what you should have more of in your life.
Yes, definitely. It may be the smartest thing to do, really, because usually people are praying to God only when they are in trouble. You know, it's kind of a a relationship which just comes out of necessity.
They don't know how they can use gratefulness to to communicate what's important to them.
Exactly. Yeah, so you have an example how you can do that.
Yeah, it's just focusing on you just sort of compliment what you like about basically anything, like living or what type of food you're grateful for.
Oh yeah, I see. So then you're signaling to Krishna that you like this, so then he may keep on supplying, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's said that this is the first level of devotion to God, that he's like our supplier. You know, it's like the love of a son for his father. The son is young. He just praising the father that father is baking a nice pizza.
And do you know you also teach your brain to focus on thinking positively when you say you're grateful for things.
Yeah. So this is definitely
it's also scientifically good for you. I mean, to be grateful for things in your everyday life.
I see. That's very good.
You can change your mind from depression and bad thoughts and.
I think this is often, what you say. What do you call this when it's not appreciated enough? It's underrated. To be grateful to God is underrated, because you see in our movement, Hare Krishna movement, it's sometimes frowned upon to be grateful for the stuff, because then it's like the idea is that we should not view the Lord as an order carrier. That we are so happy when He gives us the good things.
I think
but actually, it's a good place.
Are you there?
Yeah, I mean it's a good place to be, because usually we try to have like devotion for God, but then in the process we may even start to become ungrateful. So to be grateful to God is always should be like the foundation, which we always can come back to.
Yeah, but when you tell people about the mechanics of being grateful and how it can benefit you and your relationship with not only God but with other people, it's important that you don't say like, oh, you should be grateful because you have it so good. That's a very negative way of saying it to people,
It's kind of I see, bad vibes.
So be careful, more like sell it with how the benefits can be good for a person, not that it's mandatory.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, it shouldn't be posted as mandatory. I mean, devotion is always voluntary. Yeah, that's the whole idea about devotion. That's when it happens, really, right? When one is voluntarily, like spontaneously, out of one's own accord, one is doing praising God, doing something for God's service for God, whatever. Then it's coming from the heart. If one is told to do it, then one way begrudgingly doing it, or it's not really bhakti at that point, but it's more like an obligation or duty.
That's sort of how I have viewed religion for a long time. Like I think that like they feel they have to be nice because God has all the power and stuff, and if they step out of line, then God can just like make things bad for them.
Yeah, that's a fearful relationship with God. That's pretty basic. I mean, it's usual.
But I think some rules do apply to gods too, so I don't think they can just mess with everyone all the time just to be...
No, I mean, if you talk about the gods in plural, they are working under Krishna. Like the angels are working under God. Yeah, they're like angels. I mean, they're dishing out some karma here and there. They are like officiated to do that by Krishna himself. So Krishna doesn't need to micromanage. He has so many gods who take care of that micromanagement. Yeah, just imagine the leader of Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
He's just sitting in his office. I mean, he may even sit in his home and just relax, because he already made the empire a long time ago, and now it's running very nicely because he's mastermind. So he doesn't need to go out and micromanage. He just sits there, and only if it's a really important thing he gets the call. Otherwise he's just chilling. He has so many people working under him. So same thing with Krishna.
Yeah. Yes.
I can give you another prayer here. I can give you another prayer here. So I also read the text, and that's from the wives of the Kaliya serpent. So I just want to give you a background on this. So once in Vrindavan is the place of Krishna where he had his childhood pastimes. So there came a great snake. It was like a serpent. It was huge. It had many hoods, and he poisoned the local bathing pool where the kids used to bathe. So Krishna, he jumped onto the hoods of the snake and started dancing. He jumped from one hood to the next, and all the parents were scared. I mean, parents of Krishna, they almost fainted. They thought Krishna would be poisoned by this snake, but he was dancing on the head, and then actually he danced so much, the heads of the snake, he became tired. Because Krishna is God after all. He's just playing, like a small boy. So the snake actually,
it must have been a big snake.
He was huge. And the snake just, you can see picture, It's like a very favorite motive from Hinduism, Krishna dancing on the hoods of the snake. So anyway, this snake, he had a lot of wives. So they're called Naga Patnis. Naga means snake and Patni means wife. So they were standing there, and then they were making prayers to Krishna, because actually they were devotees of Krishna. And they even, said that, we are sorry for our stupid husband. They told Krishna, please be merciful with him. So Krishna actually didn't kill the snake. He just exhausted him, so he fainted. And then when he woke up, Krishna told him to go somewhere else. So he did, and all the wives just followed with him. Yeah, so anyway, so these wives are saying a prayer that says, Dear Lord, the dust of your lotus feet is very wonderful. Any person who is fortunate enough to achieve this dust does not care for heavenly planets, lordship, or all the planetary systems, the mystic perfections of your, or even liberation from material existence. In other words, anyone who adores the dust of your lotus feet does not care a fig for all other perfectional stages. Because you see, what you get if the Lord is dancing on your head, you get his dust, his foot dust. It's called charanareno. You see, there is some kind of thing, in Hinduism about, the dust from the feet of the Lord. You may have heard about that before, yeah? So, so the Kaliya snake, he had many heads, because they snake heads. So he got a lot of dust.
Yeah, I've seen a picture of that. Was Krishna a child at the time?
Yeah, he was a child, yeah. So you see, so in other words, the wives, they actually was thinking, our husband is very, fortunate, because our dear Lord, they are completely, full in their heart of Krishna. So they're so full of love for Krishna. So they're just thinking, our husband is now very fortunate that he gets, the dust from Krishna's lotus feet on his head. And this is dust which not even great mystics who meditate for millions of years they are getting, and he is getting. So, and they also say, those who get this dust, they are free from everything else. They don't want to have, anything else. They don't even be free from material existence. This dust, just to be touched by Krishna's feet, is such a great, blessing. Yeah. Yeah. So can you understand the ecstasy of the devotees?
Because they get not only the feet and the dust, they get the whole thing?
No, they're just they're extremely devoted and humble. So you see, on that level, they don't even want to be together with Krishna. You see, this humility can be stretched forever. So you see, in the beginning, the devotees, they want to be together with Krishna like that. It's said that, for example, somebody may be attracted to Krishna by the lust, and it's mentioned there, the cowherd maidens of Raj, they were attracted by Krishna, but later on, you have those who are more advanced. They feel so happy just to get other people to come to Krishna. You understand? This compassion is coming into play. So they are more happy to bring other people to Krishna. They want other people to be happy to be together with Krishna, and themselves they can renounce it. They feel even more joy when they give other people opportunity. You understand?
I would very much like to spend time with Krishna, but I feel like he's sort of like a celebrity. Like, he is busy and he has lots of jobs to do,
Yeah, so you have to. It said, one has to go through kind of the right channels. One has to get contacts and serve a servant of the servant of Krishna, and then one will be promoted to Krishna. Because actually one will end up meeting Krishna personally, because all the devotees, they want that to happen. With you can say a junior or new devotee, they want to bring that person straight to Krishna. They are taking pleasure in that. So in that way, because it's called sharing, sharing the joy. Yep. Sharing the joy of Krishna. Krishna is meant to be shared. This is the idea of the spiritual world. Even the word bhakti, which you have heard a few times, bhakti even means to divide or to share. And then you have a devotee. Actually, in Sanskrit, devotee is called bhakta. And bhakta means one who is dividing, or one who is sharing, in other words. Yeah, so this is very wonderful, actually. Yeah. Yeah, what did you say?
No, I didn't say anything.
Okay, very good. So, so I'll just scroll a little bit down. And then in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, then Lord Krishna says to Uddhava. So Uddhava was Krishna's personal friend. So he says, "My dear Uddhava, the devotees who have completely taken shelter of my service are so steadfast in devotional service that they have no other desire. Even if they are offered the 4 kinds of spiritual opulences, they will refuse to accept them. So what to speak of their desiring anything within the material world?" And he says also in another passage of the Bhagavatam, 11th canto, "My dear Uddhava, a person whose consciousness is completely absorbed in my thought and activities does not aspire even to occupy the post of Brahma, or the post of Indra, or the post of lordship over the planets, or the 8 kinds of mystic perfections, or even liberation itself." So in other words, they just want to be with Krishna. They don't want any post here in the material world. Yeah. So in the 12th canto of Bhagavatam, then Shiva, he says to his wife Devi, "My dear Devi, this great Brahmana sage Markandeya has attained unflinching faith and devotion unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as such, he does not aspire after any benedictions, including liberation from the material world." I mean, it's obvious. Liberation, usually when people think, it means you're merging with Brahman. And it's like you're getting free from all the troubles. But of course, to be together with Krishna is higher, because it's like the desire of the heart to be, having the eternal love life, right? It's definitely more attractive. Yeah.
I feel like many might search for sort of a loving idol,
Yeah.
that they can get acknowledgement from.
Yeah. Yeah, one wants something back. One wants kind of some feedback. Yeah. I mean, one is getting that from Krishna, but usually Krishna, he gives it through his devotees. It's said that sometimes he can do personally also, if you're lucky. Yeah, so
yeah, but
yeah.
like, I don't want to say that if you do something nice for me, it's because Krishna told you to. I think it's just because you're a nice person.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. We're just talking about, specific. If you're trying to get in contact with Krishna specific and you want to have feedback directly from Krishna, he may do that.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Of course, I understand.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but sometimes devotees are speaking like that. And sometimes even in the books there are stories that people felt, or they experienced that Krishna is giving the signs through something that happened. So anyway, we have another account here. That's a Damodara. So that was when child Krishna was born around his belly. So this is a great celebration in Vaishnavism, that Krishna is bound around the belly by his mother. So he said, he's bound by the pure love of his mother, because God cannot be bound by anybody but his devotee. So during Kartika, that's the month of Damodar. When it's the whole month we are singing this song for Krishna every day in that month. So there is one of the prayers is saying, "My dear Lord, you are the Lord of all, the giver of all benedictions." Yeah. So Namam Ishvaram Satchidanantarupam Yashoda Biolukana Davamanam Paramdrishyamantyantato Druta Gopya. Yeah. So this is such prayers we are praying, every year in that month, just to show that he is the benedictor of his devotees, that he can be bound up, although he's unlimited, he can be bound by his devotees. So that way he's allowing himself to be bound by his mother. So that's the idea. Yeah. Okay, so there are many gods, many demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and I'm reading here, who sometimes offer benedictions to the respective devotees. Now we're talking about the lesser gods. For example, Ravana, he was blessed with many benedictions by Lord Shiva. Hiranyakashipu was blessed by Lord Brahma. So these two were demons. Ravana was a demon, Hiranyakashipu was a demon. But even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma depend upon the benedictions of Lord Krishna, and therefore Krishna is addressed as the Lord of all benefactors. As such, Lord Krishna can offer his devotees anything they want, but still the devotees' prayer continues. So now another one of these Damodar prayers. I do not ask you for liberation or any material facility up to the point of liberation. So the verse is saying, na moksha. I don't want moksha or liberation. What I want as your favor is that I may always think of your form in which I see you now as Damodara. You are so beautiful and attractive that my mind does not want anything besides this wonderful form. So there is a whole section of devotees who would like to worship Krishna as a child. Yeah, that's their favorite form of the Lord. So there are many deities or figures, three-dimensional figures made of the Lord when he's bound by his mother. That's called the Damodar form of the Lord. Yeah. So here is also then explained in this verse. My dear Lord Damodar, once when you were playing as the naughty boys in the house of Nanda Maharaj, you broke the box containing yogurt, and because of that, Mother Yashoda considered you an offender and tied you with rope to the household grinding mortar. At that time, you delivered the two sons of Kuvera, Nalakuvara, and Manigriva, who were staying there as two Arjuna trees in the yard of Nanda Maharaj. My only request is that by your merciful pastimes, you may similarly deliver me. Yeah, so the story behind this is there were these two sons, rich man's sons, because Kuvera is the lord of all the riches. He is the treasurer of the demigods. So these two sons were, pampered. They were, horribly rich. So they had a lot of, girlfriends, and they were drunk, and they were, just bathing naked. And Narad Muni was passing by, and he just cursed them because they were naked. Didn't respect the sage. He cursed them to become trees, because trees are always naked. And then they asked for forgiveness, and Narad Muni says, okay, you will be, liberated from your form as a trees. When Krishna will have his pastimes on Earth planet, you will be two trees standing there for, many hundred, maybe thousands of years. But when Krishna comes, he will be bound up in between you trees. He was born to bound to this mortar, like a enormous, wooden mortar, for grinding, stuff. So bulverizing, spices or churning, butter or whatever. So he was just bound to that, and he was stuck between two trees. And Krishna, since he's God, he was so strong, he pulled over these two trees. And at that time, these two, heavenly, brothers, Nalakuvar and Manigriva, they were liberated. So in the same way, the devotee is praying, please deliver me, let me be in your pastimes. So in other words, the devotee is very humble, and he considers that I'm also, a sinner. So please liberate me. That's the idea. Yeah. So anyway.
When you say pastimes, I just imagine Krishna playing golf or something.
Yeah, you can say, yeah.
And I don't really imagine him becoming what did he become, an object that was stuck in between those
He's not the object. He was bound to that mortar. He's the child Krishna.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not becoming. That's not the pastime. No. He's a person. He's a beautiful baby boy. Yeah, and he's bound to this mortar, and so the mortar is stuck between the trees, and he's just pulling it, and so the two trees are pulled over. You understand? You can see a picture of it if you search it up. Yeah, so in that way, no, Krishna is not having pastime as an object. No, don't worry. Pastime, yeah, so you can say, Donald Trump, he plays golf as his pastime. So Krishna, he plays the flute. Yeah. So I know, so some people, when they want to have a good time, they play the guitar or some other favorite instrument. Like everybody has to, their pastime, right? So this is Krishna's personality. He likes to play flute. And then another thing is he's a child. So these are also called, like, in the broad usage of the term, is called his pastimes. It's like Leela is the Sanskrit term. It can't really be translated 100% as pastime, but it's the closest you can get in the English language. Does it make sense?
Yeah, but what were you saying again?
I will not re-explain everything, but you can something specific.
Well, I understand that Krishna was like a baby in between the trees.
Yeah.
And that his pastime was playing the flute.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say, that's also his pastime. That he's just playing as a child because he's God. He can be playing adult. He can be playing child. Sometimes he like to play the role of a child. So in that way, it's called a pastime. So in other words, he do it for fun. Yep. It's for fun. He do it. Yeah. That's the idea. Like I can give an example so you can understand. Say for example, say you get a new computer game. I mean, sorry to say, but most computer games, they are like somebody shooting around, like with a gun or whatever, in a war or something. So this is your pastime when you're sitting on the computer playing that game. You cannot say you're on work, or that is heavy for you. It's fun, right? You're playing the war on your computer, right? Is it true or not?
Yeah.
So in the same way, Krishna, he's fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. There was this big war. In the middle of that war, actually before it started, and the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. We have spoken a little bit about that before. The whole concept of Bhagavad Gita is it's spoken to Arjuna just before the Mahabharata war, and after that they are starting to fight, and they're killing many people, and it's a huge fight. But it's just like a pastime, just like if you would sit with a computer game. That's the pastime of Krishna. Nobody's actually dying. It's just
war. That's what I call a good time.
Yeah, but it's the same thing with us. We also like to play war on our computer, because it's just a game. Nobody's actually dead. That's the point.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that Krishna has his pastimes, God has his pastimes, just like we have our pastimes.
Yeah, I don't really like war, but okay.
But you do, when you play a computer game.
I do play video games on
right?
the computer.
So it's the same thing, It's exactly the same. It's not for real. That's why it can be, the same thing. Like we can watch, war movie or something, and we think this is good. We're eating popcorn and potato chips and drinking soda water while seeing a war, right? As an entertainment.
Yeah.
So in the same way, and it's a pastime because we know it's not real. If it were real, we wouldn't do that, right? Then we would just sit on a fasting stomach and cry, But we don't, because it's entertainment, then we can do that. So in the same way, Krishna is enjoying himself by having these different pastimes. And we can take part in this pastime, that's the point. So in that way, the devotees are playing different roles.
Did Krishna eat popcorn or eat soda during the war? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, maybe he did, But okay, let's take another example. Sometimes I saw, was it in Sweden? There were some people they put on Viking costumes. I'm not kidding. They had Viking, and they had like Viking swords, or some other, Viking, weapons, and armor and stuff. And they were fighting. Yeah.
Normal to do.
Huh?
Isn't that very normal to do in the north, to like have small Viking villages and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, but you know, people are doing this in their spare time as a pastime. They're fighting like okay, so they don't have popcorn, you know. They have a good time, you know, playing that they're fighting with each other. So in the same way, Krishna is
even the Vikings thousands of years ago, they used to enjoy fighting a pastime.
Yeah, exactly. It said that actually warriors, they actually like to fight because they're and they're really pumped up and ready to fight. They're just looking forward, so then they can prove their skills and their power, right? So in the same way with Krishna, he can prove his power, you know, while fighting, but it's called mock fighting with Krishna. And Krishna is having all this pastime. It's just mock. It's not real actually. It's just everybody's just, you know, for fun fighting with each other. Yeah. So let's see. We can read some more here. Let's see. So you know, then we have Hanuman. He's also saying something. Hanuman is the monkey, you know, he's the greatest devotee of Lord Ram. And Krishna has his incarnation as Rama, the greatest king. Then he's a monkey who is his best servant. So he's called Hanuman. You heard about Hanuman, have you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Hanuman, he's saying.
But I don't know who he is. I just heard about him.
Yeah, he's a very great person. He's worth learning more about. So anyway, he says, "My dear Lord, if you like, you can give me salvation from this material existence, or the privilege of merging into your existence. But I do not wish any of these things. I do not want anything that diminishes my relationship with you as servant to master, even after liberation." Yeah, and so in the same way now we have Maharaj Parikshit is actually inquiring now. He's asking, "My dear Brahman, I understand that the demon Vritrasura was a greatly sinful person, and that his mentality was completely absorbed in the mode of passion and ignorance. How did it develop to such a perfectional stage of devotional service to Narayan? I've heard that even great persons who have undergone severe austerities and are liberated with full knowledge must strive to become devotees of the Lord. It's understood that such persons are very rare and almost never to be seen, so I am astonished that Vritrasura became such a devotee." Yeah, so he's astonished because I mentioned this Vritrasura, he was actually a demon. And the gods were fighting against this demon, but then while they were fighting with him, he was saying devotional prayers to Krishna. It was like a paradox. So anyway. Yeah, so in the Bhagavatam, then we have, the reason why he became such a great devotee is actually because he was actually a devotee. He was just cursed to have one birth as a demon. That was actually the thing. So after this one birth, he was again back in his eternal relationship with the Lord in the spiritual world. Yeah. But the point with these prayers is to just note that to be a devotee of the Lord is very, very rare. One is considered liberated at that point. Yeah, so Queen Kunti is also praying. She says, "My dear Krishna, you are so great that you are inconceivable even to great stalwart scholars and Paramahamsas, fully liberated souls. So is such great sages who are transcendental to all the reactions of material existence are unable to know you. Then as far as we are concerned, belonging to the less intelligent woman class, how is it possible for us to know your glories? How can we understand you?" So in this verse, the particular thing to be noted is that the personality of God is not understood by great liberated persons, but only by devotees such as Queen Kunti in her humbleness. Yeah, so she considered herself to be less intelligent. Of course, she was most intelligent, and she understood, Krishna. So let's see down here. We have some more. Yeah, so Prabhupada, he concludes, that out of the many kinds of devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the one who is attracted to the original form of the Lord, Krishna in Vrindavan, is considered to be the foremost first-class devotee. Such a devotee is never attracted by the opulences of Vaikuntha or even Dwarka, the royal city where Krishna ruled. The conclusion is of Rupa Goswami. The conclusion of Sri Rupa Goswami is that the devotees who are attracted by the pastimes of the Lord in Gokul or Vrindavan are the topmost devotees. A devotee who is attached to a particular form of the Lord does not wish to redirect his devotion to other forms. For example, Hanuman, the devotee of Lord Ramachandra, knew that there is no difference between Lord Ramachandra and Lord Narayan, and yet he still wanted to render service only unto Lord Ramachandra. That is due to a specific attraction of a particular devotee. There are many, many forms of the Lord, but Krishna is still the original form. Though all of the devotees of the different forms of the Lord are in the same category, still it is said that those who are devotees of Lord Krishna are the topmost in the list of all devotees. Yeah. So now we're finished with the chapter. Any comments or questions?
Well, I mean, my most devotional service is usually to people who I feel are in need.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the best service. It said, Krishna says that.
Like they are alone.
Yeah, Krishna says, that somebody who has, compassion for other living entities is very dear to me. And that's the way we can become dear to God, by having compassion for his souls. He has unlimited souls spread all over the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not by externally doing all kinds of worship of the Lord. Of course, that is also good, but he's higher, actually appreciating people who care about his people. Yeah. He says that in Bhagavatam. He says, Doyaya sarvabhuteshu. Those who are Doyaya, who have compassion to all living entities, they are very dear to me. Tushatu arshu janar. They are making the Lord pleased.
Because,
yeah.
I have a saying that I have made up myself, which I say, one should not have to pay for love.
One should not pay for love. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah. Love is a free commodity, but it has to be given freely, and it has to be received, without paying for it. I mean.
Yeah.
It's a mystery, in one sense also. Actually, the original love is spiritual, and it's coming from God. We will learn more about that later here in the book. Rupa Goswami is discussing it a little bit later. So yeah, if you're ready next time, now we have to wait until Friday. We will have another session on this. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But thank you. It was a good session. Yeah, I think we were able to spend almost an hour. So it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so see you around. Maybe sometimes we can have some Krishna book class also, if you get a time. Yeah. Otherwise,
yes,
yeah. Otherwise, I speak to you later.
Yes, you can contact me whenever you want.
Yeah, I'll do that. Super duper. Okay, so we thank you for now. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So this is also the auspicious appearance day of Srila Prabhupada, who gave us this wonderful book, Nectar of Devotion, which we are very grateful for. He also gave us so many other books, which have revealed to us everything about Krishna. So thank you so much, Srila Prabhupada, and all glories. Hare Krishna.